Hey guys, and welcome back. It's another Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video. We're going to be talking a new theory that someone kind of hinted at in the comments. There were a couple of things that I was thinking about before then, but then this theory kind of lit a bulb in my head. So thanks to that comment, going to talk about it in detail in a moment. But before though I get started over here, I want to highlight one of the comments that I got on my episode 4 review. The comment was posted by Jared King and it read, "My mom loves this show and she passed Monday. She loved Mac and Daisy. She really wanted to see Fitz and Jemma having a good ending. She would have loved Friday's episode." Jared, if you're watching this, my condolences go to you. I'm sure the condolences of every regular commenter on this channel goes to you. And I want to dedicate this video both to you, to your family, and to the memory of your beloved mother. But having gotten that out of the way though, I want to talk about something that I mentioned on my, trailer breakdown for episode 5. I want to talk a Chronicom theory, I want to talk a Confederacy theory, and it's really huge because it does seem like a huge possibility as well. So on the trailer of episode 5 we do meet Altara. Altara is yet another Chronicom. We've already met a Chronicom hunter, that being Malachi. We've met him on episode 3. He's going to be back on episode 5 and he's going to be reporting to none other than Altara. We also see the space team plus Enoch in the cockpit of the Zephyr looking at something, with this surprised look, like what the hell is going on? And what the hell is going on is one other ship that just make a jump right in front of theirs, so they're basically being intercepted by Altara. But okay, let's put a pin in that for a minute here and circle back to it later on, because I want to talk about two possibilities that I did post on my trailer breakdown video. The first is, the reason that Altara and her people are using Fitz as a bargaining chip against, the space team is basically that they want something out of them. And that something might be to the effect of them, interfering with the timeline without actually interfering, like without actually breaking the rules. So yeah, it's all about manipulating the rules, bending the rules, kind of not breaking them while actually breaking them. However though, even though their methodologies are kind of unorthodox over here, they might actually want something good out of this. Which brings us to the second option. What if whatever it is they're doing over here, what if whatever it is they're aiming for over here is a bad thing? What if they are Chronicoms in terms of race, but not in terms of purpose and job? As in timekeeping, they're not keepers of time. What if they are a rogue faction of Chronicoms that's basically working towards a completely different objective, and not a good one at that? Okay, so who would they be? I'm thinking we knew that there are 6 races to the Confederacy, one of them was unidentified, and that race could be the Chronicoms. We know that the Confederacy is still at play given what we watched on the premiere of the season. That big massive Confederacy destroyer. We know that the ship that we do see on this trailer, the one that Altara uses, is basically a Confederacy-like ship. It does look exactly like the Confederacy destroyer that we did see on either episodes 20 or 21 of the 5th season. The interior of the ship that we do see on the trailer as well of episode 5, where Altara is holding the team hostage, looks very much like the interior of that ship. Looks very much like the inspiration for a Morath Rumble that we do see on episode 4, by the way, because hey, it's all inspired by all of that stuff, the adventure on the ship and whatnot. And finally, the cell where Fitz is being held. That's exactly the same cell, in terms of design and whatnot, that Phil Coulson and at some point Melinda May were held in after, Graviton decided, hey, you're not with me, you're against me, you're not supporting me, so you're the bad guy. So that brings us to the same question. Is it possible that these Chronicoms are a rogue faction of Chronicoms that decided to work with the Confederacy? They're basically the 6th race, the unidentified race within the Confederacy. The only major difference over here is the lighting, and we know that the lighting was a problem on Season 5, not as much of a problem as it was with Episode 3 of Season 8 of Game of Thrones, but nonetheless, the lighting was definitely not the best when it came to Season 5. Now this would explain a lot of things. It would explain why we did see the Confederacy ship on the premiere, because it wasn't really just the Confederacy, it was the Chronicoms looking for Fitz, for one reason or the other, and to advance some Confederacy plans. It would also fit with the fact that we're going to be seeing a character at the end of this season named Balgad. Now I keep mentioning this repeatedly, but Balgad could be either a character that's basically all about Hadad from the comics, a demon god, a false god, given the first part of his name, Baal. However, though the Bal and the Gad separated by a hyphen does indicate Kree, because there are a lot of Kree names that we know on the pages of the comics and on the series and in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in general, all of which have basically got this kind of format. Now, there's another option over here. They're not really the 6th species or the 6th race within the Confederacy, but they're rather just working with the Confederacy. That's a possibility as well, not gonna discard it. There's the possibility that this has got nothing to do with that because, you know, they are ships. They could not even be Confederacy ships to start with. Like, they're made, manufactured on one planet, a lot of buyers come in, the Confederacy are one of those buyers, but the Chronicoms are another buyer as well. So what I'm trying to say over here is this is a theory. It's not really set in stone, but it is a theory. But here's yet another thought that does come to mind. All of it is going to end up adding up by the end of this season. You know, like this is supposed to be one arc, that's what we were told before the airing of the season. So there's always the possibility that everything in the end has got to converge into one storyline, like it's all going to add up into one and the same direction. And if the term "this is one arc" was not a loose term used by the producers prior to the airing of the season, then there's a good chance that the Confederacy are our biggest winner over here. There's a good chance as well that Sarge has got something to do with the Confederacy. I know we're getting these vibes that Sarge is a good guy, but I've already talked about it on my theory video as of recently. He's not a totally good guy. There's still a fight between him and Mac that's gonna go down. There are a lot of scenes that portray him as evil on the trailer of this season that we haven't seen yet. There's also the fact that Daisy tries to convince May that this guy is not the man that you love. The guy in there is what she says over there, is not the man that May loves. So yeah, he's not Coulson, he's not like Coulson. That's the message she's trying to deliver. He's a bad guy. So yeah, no matter how much we see the Sarge person as a good guy at this moment, no matter how much next week's episode does portray him as the good guy, he's not really the good guy. There are still a lot of question marks surrounding this guy, and I think that this is how these stories are gonna converge. Sarge is a mercenary. Yes, he's all about these bad creatures, he's all about fighting them from one Earth to another, from one dimension to another. But in the end, he's a mercenary, and probably mercenary for hire, so this might all be about Stage 1. Stage 2 could be about being hired by the Kree and the Chronicoms and pretty much all the races of the Confederacy to get to Earth, to help them get to Earth. I mean, they did suffer a huge defeat at the end of last season, and I don't think they're gonna let it go. Wouldn't make sense if they do let it go, especially that the Inhumans, for them, are one hell of a treasure. But alright though, considering I've already promised to talk about Dark Angel and how there are a lot of parallels to the Dark Angel comics on this season, I've already been rereading the issues. Jogging my memory was not enough by a friend, so I decided to read the issues because it might be an inspiration over here. So first and foremost, and I've mentioned that before, there are the ley lines, and the ley lines, when you think about them, you're thinking one of two things in the comics. You're thinking Edwin Cord, you're thinking Cordco, so you're basically thinking Sarge and Co. are the Raiders. But the other option with ley lines is thinking Dark Angel, and when thinking Dark Angel, you're thinking the crystals. You know, something that happens to be very similar in nature to the crystallized nature of whatever happens to these guys. The guys who pretty much end up becoming hosts for the parasites on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6. There's the creature created by her father's experiment. The creature that she ends up discovering is her brother. That's basically a substitute on that arc for the parasitic bats that we've met on the series. And there's of course the hunting of said creature. There's a space element, there's a cloaked vehicle, there is Mephisto, there are shards, soul shards, that are basically being sent Mephisto's way. So let's think about it this way, whatever Sarge is doing over here, and if the Hellhound theory does work, not saying he is the Hellhound Sarge from the comics by the way, but saying he's possibly a creation of some demon lord. I'm not saying necessarily Mephisto because I don't think they're going to be introducing Mephisto on the TV side, and if they do so, they're going to do it with the Ghost Rider series. So yeah, we're possibly talking some other demon lord. And the thought here goes to Baal or Hadad because yeah, we've got a Balgat in the future of the series. Now, a lot of the credit over here goes to Hillbilly Author on Discord. I mean, he came up with the majority of this thought. I just kind of filled the blanks and then put it on a video. However, though, what we're thinking over here is that Sarge and his team are working on a twofold mission. So, number one, they're trying to stop these creatures, you know, the bat creatures. The bat creatures might have escaped hell, the bat creatures might have escaped to Death Dimension, and that's basically their mission when it comes to these parasites. The fact that the bats are taking host bodies might be construed as them basically building up an army, like for one of the demon lords out there. That could work with the idea of becoming a butterfly, even though Snowflake does mention that those people infected with those parasites are not really becoming butterflies. So the thought over here is the second step in this mission, which is basically all about Snowflake, all about her talk about butterflies, the possibility that all of this killing, this love for creating these butterflies, or so-called butterflies, that could be about whatever demon lord that they are working for being sort of bound and them needing to free him. And these are basically the soul shards, the butterflies, they're gonna be priced for his freedom. Now, there was a lot of crazy in these last 3 minutes of this video, but let me add this bit of crazy as well. In the context of sending soul shards and souls Bal's way in order to free them, if this theory were to be correct, or any variation, close variation of it, were to be correct, then Snowflake is pretty much a fill-in for the Dark Angel out of the comics, and I'm not talking Siobhan Haldane, but rather talking the original, the actual Dark Angel, who's basically the Angel of Death. But yeah, though, it's kind of a crazy theory, but like I said before, we keep getting hints at the idea that there's a demonic entity at play, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of talk about resurrection, a lot of talk about past lives, so yeah, the possibility does exist. Now, with the Ghost Rider series coming to Hulu, probably in 2020, as a spin-off, by the way, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because all that news that Variety kind of spread about Ghost Rider not being, a spin-off, like a totally different take on the story, was totally wrong, and Hulu did announce that and make it clear. So yeah, with that being a spin-off, that does make for a good chance that Robbie Reyes does return to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for one last time before he spins off into his own series, like this could be a backdoor pilot. But I'm not really sure though, because the entire Ghost Rider series thing was in planning, probably in planning. I mean, these kind of deals did not happen overnight, but nonetheless was not confirmed until way after this season was filmed, so I don't want to confirm something that might not hold any water. I'm just presenting options over here, so you are free to take it with a grain of salt, and you are free as well to consider them highly probable, highly plausible options. With that being said though, my work here is done, so let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this video, what you thought of these theories, and as usual, let me know if you've got any theories of your own, if you've got variations on the theories that I just presented, or ones that I presented on previous videos, and let me know if you did like this video by dropping it a much appreciated like, subscribing to this channel, and while you're at it, you can always enable notifications in order to get updates whenever I upload a new video, publish a new community post, or start a new live stream. But until the next time that you tune in for another one of my videos, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or otherwise, thank you all so much for tuning in to this theory video, and have a great day.